Good evening, folks. Welcome to the first live stream of 2019. How is everybody? I feel like I haven't seen you in weeks. I was just saying tonight, I've only missed 2 weeks over the Christmas. So last Monday was New Year's Eve. Monday before that was Christmas Eve. So I thought, who wants to be watching this old mug on those 2 nights? So it's been like 3 weeks ago, but it feels like ages. I can't believe it. It just feels like I haven't done one in months. So, how is everybody? How's your Happy New Year to everyone, I suppose, as well? Can you still say Happy New Year now? Feels like it's kind of a bit late. What's the month? Yeah, what's the date rather? It's like the 7th or something today, is it? That feels quite late to be saying Happy New Year still. But we've got a great crowd in already tonight. Let's have a quick look and see who we've got in, and then we'll have a bit of a chat. So we had Mark in nice and early. Good evening, Mark. We got Kieran popped in as well. Had a brew in hand, ready to go. He's painting up some models for Cry Havoc, which is a Kings of War Vanguard tournament this weekend coming at the Forge in Manchester. I'll be there as well. So, and I'm hoping that if I can get there early enough in the morning, I'll be able to set some kit up as well and get maybe, I haven't decided whether I'm going to do some live streaming or whether I'm just going to record some games to put on the channel later. But I'm hoping to get some stuff set up. So good evening, Kieran. He said he needed a brew. It reminded me. I went down and rushed and got a brew. And then had a bit of a sort of first world problem when my tea bag broke. And I ended up with loads of leaves inside my tea bag. So then I had to make another cuppa. So I'm sorted now. Thank you very much. We've got Steve Evans in. Evening, Steve. We've got Christian in. We've got Robert Zunk in as well. Good evening, gentlemen. We've got Phil in, who's just managed to get some clothes on, I hope, after he got out the bath. Good evening, Phil. We've got Matt Mountain in as well. Says, evening and a Happy New Year, BlackJackers. Hope you're all well excited. Hope you're all well excited to kick off the new year with a bit of a live stream and a hashtag Mantic Monday. It wouldn't be a live stream without a Matt Mountain hashtag Mantic Monday. That's a mouthful, isn't it? A good job I'm just drinking tea and not a beer tonight. We've Phil saying thanks to Matt there. We've got Malkavian in. Good evening, Malkavian. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well. We've got Green Tree in. Evening, Green Tree. Skull Munchers in. It's never a live stream without Skull Munch and Flying Mammal in. Just seeing her name further down there as well. Good evening to you two. Says one of us have to go to change. Have you got yours on as well, mate? What can I say? Merchandise available, I should just say, for anybody that doesn't realise. Yeah, so you've got good taste, buddy. That's what I'll say. Chris is in as well. Says good evening all. We've got Ty Beavius in as well. Good evening, buddy. We've got Kieran says teabag in his shoe. Least said about that, the better, mate. Flying Mammal says he's behind you. What do you think? This was a gift off my wife for Christmas. It's actually a full size helmet that you can fit on. So let's see if I can make the get it. I don't know if this will pick up on the microphone or not. Unsurprisingly, my 2-year-old is scared shitless of it. So, Skullmine said, so you had to leave that one and make another. puns. Yeah, it was a bit of a last minute dash actually. I decided at like 10 to 9 I'll make a cup of tea, and then when the first one ballsed up, I tried to do it quick, so I didn't put much water in the kettle. Had to fill it again. First world problems. Jack is saying, hello Andy, Happy New Year to all. Good evening, Jack. Kieran is here. Hashtag Mountain Mantic Monday. We got Peter Nicholas in. Says first BlackJack Legacy of 2019. I can't wait. I can't wait either, Peter. I'm in a really good mood today. I'm in a really good place. I think at the minute the channel is ticking along quite nicely. I'm really organised. I've got a week's worth of videos already done and in the bank. The stuff I'm working on now is for 2 weeks' time. Everything is calm in the world. Let's have a look. We've got Division 1 champs as well. Says, good evening. Got out to work early to watch this and do some painting on my Walking Dead figures. It never ends. You're right, buddy. It never ends. Alright, but unless you paint them all, of course. But I'm pretty sure there's a rule that says when you paint every miniature you own, that's the point where you just drop down and collapse and shuffle off your mortal coil. That's why we need to have so many unpainted miniatures. Tiberius is saying, as a Scotsman, I'm saying you're allowed to say Happy New Year until mid-June, when you have to start saying, "Och, the night's a fair drawn in." Peter says, did you phone me earlier? I don't think I did, mate. I don't think I've got your number, so it definitely wasn't me. We've got Adam in as well. Says, morning, BJL family. Good evening, Adam. Or good morning, Adam, I should say. And we've got Michael in as well. Says, put it on. Do you know what it is? It's a bit tricky to get on and off. I don't want to be doing it on my own, because I'm in on my own tonight. So if the little one cries and I've got that on and I can't get it off, next week, I promise I will start the live stream with it on next week. There you go. So, how is everybody? How was your Christmas? How was your New Year? What have you been up to miniature-wise? Did you get any new games? Have you been playing anything new? Have you started painting? What's your challenges for this year? What's your hobby resolutions? We'll chat about all that stuff tonight. But the main topic tonight is, if I can remember what I called it, I'm looking on my board now. I don't know if anybody saw my board on the Facebook group. I'm all organised now. 2 months worth of videos all planned out. So tonight is the rise of licensed games. So last year was definitely a point in time where we started to see more and more licensed games coming through. And I made a video about it quite some time ago about, is this kind of, you know, like what's driving this? Is this the end of creativity, if you like? So what's your opinions on it? This is what we're going to chat about tonight. I'll give you a bit of spiel about my stuff, about how I feel about it. But do you think it's a good thing and that more licensed games are opening up miniature gaming and board gaming and sort of tabletop gaming in general? Is it opening it up to a wider and a new audience? Or do you think that it's just a case of miniatures companies and games companies now are only backing big name surefire hits? They've gone all kind of Hollywood and we're just getting loads of remakes and sequels, and that actually it's stifling new and up and coming creators that ordinarily might have got their chance, but now everybody's just kind of putting their money into the big names. So Peter's saying, I got a set of Ogrins and a new chair for my desk. Happy days. You can never be too comfy, mate, when you're sitting painting. So a new chair is a nice little gift. And Ogrins, you're stretching my knowledge now. So I think Ogrins are for what used to be Imperial Guard. Am I right there? Are you building a Guard army or not? What they're called? Astra Militarum, they're called now, aren't they? Are you building one of those armies at the minute? Jack says he got his hobby resolution ready for his next blog post and already painted 19 miniatures this year. Well, I won't ask you to spoil it, mate. I will say to everybody, you need to check out Jack and Shaggy Wargaming. You need to check out his blog. I've been following it since I realised it was a thing, not about sort of 6 months ago now. Really well written, always got some interesting stuff in there. Great write-ups when he's having days out at places, and some stuff about his new year obviously coming up soon. So yeah, definitely check that out. Do you see 19 miniatures? That's pretty good going. I was just saying to my missus this morning that I think I've painted more miniatures this year than I probably did in the last 2 or 3 months of last year. I'm kind of on a mission now. I just feel like I've got the kind of wind behind us. Everything's going well. Matt says he started playing Kill Team this weekend. It was fun. Now looking at expanding into 40k with the new Gene Stealer cult models. Yeah, there's quite a few new ones coming out, mate, isn't there? And I think I saw there's a Codex on the way as well. I think that was right. But there's plenty of stuff coming for 40k. What's your thoughts on Kill Team Arena? Is competitive gaming something you're interested in? Tiberius says, I'm saying board games are now more mainstream and encroaching on war games. That's an interesting point, and we'll probably come on to that as we start talking about licensed games and how board games, war games are all just almost becoming one big thing, if you like. Now, certainly there's a middle ground, which is your miniature gaming. You've got war gaming, miniature gaming, which is that kind of Venn diagram in the middle, and then board gaming, I guess. We've got James J in. Good evening, James. Hope you're well. So he's just painting his crew tonight as the new Kill Team rules are out in White Dwarf. Blackstone Fortress Commander takes no prisoners. Interesting. I haven't got the latest White Dwarf yet, but I know it's changed now, isn't it? It's slightly different. It definitely feels like it's more focused to I would say towards the community. I think Warhammer community now is covering all of those. This is coming next month type stuff. So what they used to do about this is the pre-release, this is the information about it. It feels like Warhammer TV and Warhammer community are dealing with all that pre-release stuff, and White Dwarf is really getting into the kind of the nuts and bolts of the game and the fluff and the extra rules and stuff now, which I think is excellent actually. And I will pick it up because I want to see what they're doing with it. Where are we at? Tiberius is saying licensed board games were always a thing. I think they have always been a thing, but I think at the minute it's everywhere. I would say it just feels a lot more mainstream. Almost, I saw a stat yesterday that I think it was 6 of the top 8 grossing movies of 2018 were superhero movies, and I think that's almost kind of it's almost sort of an example really of how we've gone as a world, I guess. We're becoming just naturally more geeky. I think geek culture is definitely mainstream now, and I think board games and miniatures games picking up on this licensed culture is almost tapping into that now. So Peter's saying the Ogrins are for his old Cat-chan army, so I'm on the right lines with them anyway. That's right. Steve says painting up Forces of Nature army for Kings of War. 29 models painted so far, which equals 8 units over 1,000 points. Nice job, mate. Is that a brand new army? Have you just started from scratch? Are you adding to it? Have you played Kings of War before? Good to know what you're up to. Christian says he thinks it's a good thing. Licensed branded game is more likely to get new people interested in the hobby, in his opinion, especially if it's simple to set up and play. Now, I think that is key, really, with a lot of this licensed stuff. You do attract potentially a non-gamer. For example, let's take something, Resident Evil. Don't know if you can see it just poking in there on the corner of the screen. That is potentially going to attract people who have never played sort of, more modern board games before. There's a Resident Evil 2 remake that comes out this month, so there's definitely a kind of a bit of press around it. People will find out about this coming out, and if they're hard to get into, if they're really difficult, it will put people off. So I think sometimes licensed games do tend to have to be able to kind of bridge that entry point, definitely. But we'll come on to that in a bit. Division 1 Champions are saying I think they're trying to reach out to the new non-players who are in love with the movie series. Where are we? Jumping around now. I'm sure they're hoping it doesn't turn out like Starship Troopers and flop as soon as it comes out. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about some games. I mean, there's a few games that haven't really hit the ground running, if you like. However, I think... Let me think about it. I think more often than not these days, there's a real... Like, if I think when I was a kid, when you kind of used to get your old sort of Spectrum games and Master System games, any movie licensed tie-ins were awful. Very rarely were they any good. I think the first time you got a decent movie tie-in was probably GoldenEye on the N64. Was it on N64? On the SNES, I think it was. Before that, they were all just done to a really short sort of time scale, done to kind of to kind of piggyback on the movie and just sell units. I mean, E.T. for the Atari is a prime example of that. These days, it feels like the licenses that people get don't always have a time limit on them, so we're not trying to tie them in with movies. Although, by fortunate chance, things like Mantic's Hellboy, which comes out around March time, I think, is coming out around the same time as the new Hellboy movie. Resident Evil 2, the board game, is coming out around the same time as the Resident Evil 2 remake. Now, whether these were planned or very kind of sort of nice coincidences, I think they tend to be the exceptions, really. Robert saying he got Cruel Seas for Christmas. Thank you very much for sharing that stuff in the Facebook group, Robert. Said the US fleet box and the Japanese fleet box a birthday Christmas present. Sounds like you got plenty on your painting table there, mate. Jack saying cheers for the show. Not a problem, mate. It's great work. Always happy to shout out stuff that I'm kind of happy with myself as well. I feel bad pushing stuff if I don't believe it's really as good as I says it is. So yeah, welcome, mate. I want to keep count on how many minis I paint this year. All the Shadespire minis currently looking at me. Yeah, I've got my Space Wolves over there just screaming out, kind of, paint me, paint me. I need to get some of them on for next month. Flying Mammal says, mine is to finish the November challenge. You've got plenty of time, it's fine. It's not November for about another sort of 10 months. You've got plenty of time, don't worry. Chris is saying he's looking forward to the Ambot. That looks great with his Escher. I saw those Ambots. Are they both Ambot? The red and the blue one for Necromunda that were revealed at the Warhammer weekend, the New Year weekend, I think they called it, or something like that. Some really nice reveals there, actually. Michael says he won't stay long. He's been sick since Christmas, and he still is. I'm really sorry to hear that, mate. I hope you have a speedy recovery, and I hope it's nothing too serious, mate. The blur there kind of tells me it's not very nice. We've got Glenn in as well. Good evening, Glenn. He says he's a bit late tuning in, just off work and watching the stream on the bus home. Hello to Glenn, and hello to everybody on Glenn's bus. We've got Chris there. He says, when Mantic release Chris, the leader of the Hunters. You'll have some more to paint there, mate. Steve is saying, for Christmas he got the Dread Ball starter set. Very good it is too. You played any games of it yet, mate? What's your thought on the game? Or have you played it before, or is it the first time you've played it? Yeah, Flying Mammal saying to Michael to feel better soon. And oh, everything's just jumping around there. Flying Mammal saying the IP is okay when it's a game that fits and make you feel like you're in the world. Now that is a really, really good point. If it's just a cash-in on the name, that's not good. But if it's a game that actually feels like the theme, or it conjures up kind of those warm, fuzzy feelings you had when you were younger playing games like Resident Evil 2, then it's a very different proposition. I've actually got Tuesday night, tomorrow is my board gaming night, and I've got a full review of Resident Evil 2 there as well. So if you're interested in that, because it hasn't hit retail yet, if it's something you think you're interested in, don't forget to check out the video tomorrow night. Wow, the chat is chatty tonight, isn't it? That's what happens when you have a few weeks off. Tiberius is saying you might get Walking Dead, I was going to say, White Dwarf this month. Treat yourself to the Progs and Megas 2000 AD subscription. Nice. I used to always get 2000 AD. Used to love Judge Dredd comics. Shaggy's saying using existing known IPs really helps when trying to sell to customers, as it's an easy buy-in. But as we've seen in some games, it does not mean they're good games. Yeah, I think especially... Oh, excuse me, I've got something stuck in my throat there. I think especially when it's a game that's going to go to Kickstarter, having a known IP is a real kind of almost marketing boost to it, and it gets a bit of buzz around the place, doesn't it? I mean, if you look at how something like... We mentioned Hellboy. Look how well Hellboy did when that was a Kickstarter. Don't get me wrong, Mantic have done a great job of it. The miniatures are looking fantastic, and I've got a picture actually over my main screen I'll bring over a bit later on. For anybody that didn't back Hellboy, you won't have seen the Kickstarter email that came out today with some of the finished minis on it, and they look fantastic. Chris is saying that Tiberius, consider his store. Yeah, Chris has got a web store called Carson's Bazaar. If you head across to the Facebook group, there'll be a link to it in there as well. Definitely anybody that's going to buy anything online. He's a local guy to me, just starting out in a new store, so I really do appreciate kind of if you give him a look over. Kieran says about the topic, I think it's a mix of both. More licenses means appealing to a wider base of possible players who are into those IPs already. And I think it can be harmful though, companies chasing a quick license game for quicker sales, less development time needed on a limited period license deal. Yeah, I think we've seen examples of both. We've seen some examples where companies have really kind of put love and attention into a license, and it's something that they've really wanted to do. We've also seen examples where it's kind of been a bit of a one hit and done, cash in and away. And we've seen some where it just hasn't worked out. Companies have overcommitted. Things like the Halo license that went to Spartan Games. I think it was probably that, or I think it's fair to say it was that license that probably ended up, I think they overcommitted, and that's what killed them off really. Tiberius says a licensed game also feels more like a sealed, complete unit. That's an interesting point. Do Do you see kind of licensed games as a one shot? Or do you see them as something that'll expand over time? I mean, certainly when we talk about licensing, you can't miss things like kind of Star Wars X-Wing, Star Wars Legion, that's over here as well. You know, some of the Fantasy Flight stuff that they've done, really kind of, you know, that they're never really quite finished, are they? Or ever. Michael's just putting me right there about it was the N64. I couldn't remember that long ago. This is when it comes to licenses. Chris says when it comes to licenses, I think it's a tricky area. You've got the hard fans who won't like it because it's not exactly the same as the original. That's a good point as well. There's definitely quite a lot of that where people, I think you even see it in movies now, don't you? Where you make a movie adaptation of a book, or adaptation, I should say, of a book. And I think Ready Player One was a good example where if you'd never read the book, the film was fantastic. If you'd read the book, the film was pretty good, but it was nothing like the book, and it would have been nice to see the character development that you see in that book. Well, I think that's the case with a lot of things. The same thing ends up happening, I think, a lot when you try and translate something from a comic book or from a movie or a computer game and try and get it into a 3D kind of board game. Steve's saying it's a new army. He's just started this year. Bit of Kings of War fanboy. Got over 8 3,000-point armies already painted. Wow, mate. You need to get some pictures of those up on the Facebook group next time you've got them out. Robert says, he says there's no helping him as well. We're all doomed, mate. That's how it is. Robert says, yeah, he's looking forward to Hellboy. Actually, just while Robert mentions that, let me flick across to this. So, these miniature, are these renders, sorry, I'll rephrase that. These are not renders. These are the finished first production sculpts for Hellboy the board game that Mantic shared today on their Kickstarter email. So I won't even pretend to be able to tell you what they all are because it's really small on my screen. I do know we've obviously got Hellboy on the left hand side, and we've got, I think that's Rasputin second from the right as well, but the other ones are a bit small on my screen. I can't make them out. But these are these are the miniatures, and these are production models. They're not renders, they're not resins, they're production miniatures, so they look amazing. And then if I can do this right, I'm just trying. There we are. Then these are like mini busts, and I think these are. I've got a feeling that these are like kind of pieces for on the board. You know, like markers. That's the word I was trying to remember. So you can obviously see we've got Hellboy, we've got Abe, we've got Johan, and we've got Liz there. Then there's a little kind of book, and the one on the right looks like some kind of tentacle monster, but it's really small on my screen, so I'm not quite sure what that one is. But I'll pop these up there. I've put these up on Instagram. I've put these up on Instagram this evening. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do go over and check it out. It's at BlackJack Legacy, unsurprisingly there. Really do appreciate if you kind of follow me on some of the social media stuff. On there, I tend to post just little bits of photographs of games I've been playing, or kind of try to do a little bit more arty shots and bits and pieces as well, and also reshare some cool stuff that I've seen. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, please head over and do that. You'll see the picture. I'll also pop these up on my Twitter feed, which again is at BlackJack Legacy. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, I tend to just kind of have a bit of random chat on there and share bits and pieces, maybe a bit more work in progress painting, that kind of stuff. I try to not copy the same thing across every different kind of social media channel, and I will pop them up at some point in the Facebook group as well. Let's see where we are. So Chris was saying, you can see a lot of the Fallout community complain about the Modiphius game because it's not the computer game, but the Fallout community can be a bit toxic, I find. Yeah, when it comes to Fallout, I mean, the Fallout community complain about the latest Fallout game because it's not really Fallout. And I think they also complained about Fallout 4 as well, to be fair. Adam said he got, for Christmas, he got Kill Team Commanders and the Commander model. Oh, this is where my eyes come in now. Gaius Accusation, I think it says, for my Death Watch Kill Team, and a Razorback to support the Death Watch army I'm building. Yeah, I saw your Death Watch stuff, mate. It's coming together quite nicely. What do you think of the Commanders expansion? I've not actually looked at it yet. I got a little bit peeved when it came out because I was thinking, bloody hell, I haven't even getting 2 kill teams together yet, and there's a new expansion out. But there's been a big enough gap now that I'm actually quite looking forward to Kill Team Arena. So yeah, what do you think of it? Have you read through the book yet? Michael saying he really hopes Hellboy isn't boring to be like the trailer shows now. Then it'll severely impact the game sales. I really like the trailer, I'll be honest, Michael. It's maybe not being cut the best way, because I've seen a fan version where they've re-edited the trailer back together in a slightly different order, and it's got a different feel to the film. So even using the same shots, it's quite interesting how it's been re-edited. It's worth checking that out on YouTube. I think it's called like fan re-edit or something like that. But I really like the trailer. I like the fact that Hellboy's that a bit more kind of angular, if you like. I like the fact that it's got that kind of dark kind of humor to it as well. But yeah, there's definitely mixed feelings, I think, for people. A lot of people who don't like the Hellboy trailer, and I don't know if this references you, Michael, but are just fans of the original films rather than fans of the comic books. And I think there's a bit of confusion there. It definitely stays a lot truer to the comic books, I would say. Certainly much more so than the original films did. Steve was saying he's played first edition but not second yet. Is that second edition of Kings of War? Wow. You need to get some games in, buddy, because third edition won't be far off. Glenn saying, have you played the Conan board game, Andy? I picked up the new Marvel comic Conan the Barbarian. It's really great, and it's got me interested in the board game. I haven't played it, mate. I've heard really good things about it, and I did back Batman Gotham City Chronicles, which is by the same company, Monolith, and it's based upon the Conan rules, and I think they've just kind of like sort of rounded off some rough edges from the Conan rules, put a Batman skin over the top of it, so when Batman ships this year, it's basically Conan, but Batman, if you like. But I've heard it's really good. I think it's just quite expensive, mate. I think it's about £100 for the board game, if I remember right. That's one of the reasons I've never picked it up. It's just quite an expensive game to kind of dip my toe into, I guess. Robert Marshall's in. Good evening, Robert. We've also got Henry in as well. Good evening, Henry. He says, finally made it to another live show. Thanks for the support for Kings of Baltimore. I'm Dan on Facebook. Dan on Facebook? Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I was just thinking, I saw your surname and I was thinking, I know that name. I assumed it was you. Yes, no problem at all for the support, buddy. So Dan or Henry there is having a Kings of War tournament in Baltimore, and he asked me if I'd be interested in supporting it. So I'm going to donate a T-shirt, one of the BlackJack designs, tweaked a little bit for the tournament, to that tournament out in Baltimore. So if you're a Kings of War player and you're in the Baltimore area, certainly check out that tournament. And you're welcome, mate. No problem at all. Chris says, thank you, Andy. I'm assuming that's because I mentioned the shop a little while back. He says, Rob, his brother and I would really appreciate it too. We're pretty new, but we're building a bunch of repeat customers and building a little community too. Lots of passion in it. You're welcome, Chris. I really like what you're doing, where you're doing your little kind of sort of blog updates as well. So it's not like a hard sell on the store. You kind of, you've got a bit of a, what's the word? It is like a blog, isn't it? Basically, you're doing your kind of your blog stuff, and you're talking about kind of mental health within gaming, how gaming can help. You're doing a thing about start collecting with Age of Sigmar, I've just seen as well. And I think that's a really it's a nice soft sales technique that I think works really well, mate. So I really, really hope it goes well for you, buddy. And I'll definitely be, I'll pop in at some point as well and try and give you a bit more support as well. Matt saying, licensed games, great for bringing non-gamers into the hobby. However, that game needs to be expensive enough that it keeps people playing them. Expansive, sorry. Walking Dead is a good example of this work. Words out of this working. That's my Geordie coming out. It's walking. Yeah, exactly right, Matt. I think it's. I think people are willing to spend a little bit more money these days as well when they see the kind of the miniatures and stuff and the quality of the contents. And people are more willing to spend that bit more if they don't think it's just that kind of one-off. If it does grow over time in very much the way that that Walking Dead has. Fallout Wasteland Warfare is growing in the same way. Resident Evil 2 has expansions that will come out over time. Hellboy has expansions that will come out over time. I think that really does it really does help to kind of like, if I buy into this, there's more to come. I think that's a good point. Chris is saying, is the Horned Hellboy a Kickstarter exclusive? I can't remember. I've got a feeling it might be, but I could be wrong. Division 1 Champ says, what franchise would you be amped about seeing come out to Kickstarter that would be for sure shut up and take my money? Ooh, that's a great question. That's a great question, mate. What would I really like to see? It would have to be something. Do you know what I would like? I'd like to see kind of some kind of horror franchise thing, I think, where a bit of a skirmish game or potentially a board game, where we see some of the kind of big horror icons. Because I'm really into horror films. That's kind of my favorite genre, I would say. So I think, would you get something with like a Freddy and a Jason and all those kind of things in? Do you think you'd be able to get all those licenses in one place? There was a Freddy versus Jason movie, wasn't there? So maybe you might be able to do a Freddy versus Jason board game. Who knows? What about you? What would you like to see? Mark says the busts are priority tokens for the game. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't get my words out. Thanks, Mark. We got Blankshot Gaming in. Good evening, Blankshot. How are you doing? He says he'd love for someone to do a G.I. Joe Real American Hero minis game. Yeah, there's no actual... I might be completely wrong here, so forgive me if I am. But like basically, like miniature wargaming tends to be set in World War II era. There was, I think, was it Flames of War that had a Vietnam expansion? That's pretty much about as up to date as we got. With games like Black Ops and Modern Warfare and stuff, I'm really surprised nobody's dipped in and done a bit more of a Modern Warfare miniatures game. Phil's saying really like Fable games. Have they done a board game? Do you know what it is? That's another good shout. They haven't done Fable board game, and I'm really surprised because it would really lend itself, wouldn't it? How you could kind of change from kind of, good to evil depending upon what choices you make during the game. And I'm sure it is Steve Molyneux, I think, isn't it, from Lionhead Studios who did that. I'm sure Steve Molyneux has some interest in a board game company as well. So I'd be really surprised if that didn't happen. Or I'm surprised it hasn't happened, I should say. Adam's saying he hasn't played Commanders yet, but the rules for them look really good. Commanders are almost like kill team strength on their own. Like a really small 40k battle in close confines. That's going to be interesting. Steve's saying he hasn't played 2nd edition Red Bull. Sorry, mate. I was thinking you meant 2nd edition Kings of All there. This is what happens when there's a bit of a delay. Sorry, buddy. Michael says he found the humour too much and too cheesy, to be honest. The rest look good. And me being a tad sour about it versus the other movies is that they promised a darker Hellboy than the previous. I think it potentially is a bit darker, mate, if I'm honest. I think we're seeing the humour coming through in the trailer, but there's definitely some dark elements to it. I wouldn't write it off yet, mate. I wouldn't write it off yet. Chris, anyone remember Recess on the Disney Channel? I think it'd be quite interesting to see a board game based on that. I think I'm a little bit old to remember that one, mate. I'm more like Saved by the Bell, I think. Henry's blown kisses there. You're welcome, buddy. Tiberius says he's sold on I'm sold on Carson's Bazaar. When I'm ready to spend again, I'll go there. Nice to see some local support, mate. I know everybody's got their own kind of local gaming stores, and I do appreciate that. But if you're going to shop online, it'll be nice to kind of give some of the new companies a bit of a leg up as well. Chris is saying you king. White Dwarf's on the site as well. I think you got 2 copies in. Michael said Spectre Miniatures is a Modern Warfare game. I've never heard of it, mate. It must be pretty niche, is it? That's the word I'm looking for. Robert's saying a board game based on Skyrim. Yeah, I could see that. I wonder how they'd. It's quite there's definitely those kind of leveling up aspects, isn't it? But would it end up being another dungeon crawler? Because there's quite a few games all tend to, the default position seems to be to go to dungeon crawler, doesn't it, at the minute? But yeah, Skyrim would be a great IP. Tiberius is saying Force on Force from Ambush Alley. You guys know so many of these random games. I thought I was quite kind of clued up, but some of these I've just never even heard of. Skullman says, if you want a darker Hellboy, just turn the screen brightness down. Or wear sunglasses, that'll do it as well. Matt says he'd like to see small-scale skirmish game based on 80s Transformers. Oh, man, Matt. That's it now. You've got my heart set on it. I used to watch Mask as well. Were you a fan of Mask? I remember that. I can't remember what it stood for, but it definitely stood for something. But yeah, Transformers. There's a card game just came out recently that looks really weird. The cards are about this size on some of the big characters, so it seems really random. But yeah, a miniatures Transformers game would be amazing, especially when you could have. Oh, I'm getting carried away now. Yeah, but you could get like sort of 2 models for each character, couldn't you? Where they kind of transform, and so you can get around with speed and stuff like that while they're in kind of like the truck mode. But their combat's pretty weak, and then you can get the combat stuff, but their speed's pretty weak. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Michael says he'd be going there anyways, but we'll see. I'm in for Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. Michael, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. We've got Rui Luis in. It says hail from Portugal. A Delta Green board game would be great. Delta Green. That's not a name I'm familiar with. Does anybody else want to know what Delta Green is, or can you enlighten me, Rui? Chris is saying, I'll follow you on the shop channel too. Nice one, buddy. Jack saying, board game of Escape from New York or Precinct 13. Oh, now you're talking. I mean, I think most of these lend themselves to board game. I think Transformers is the exception there. It would really come across as a really good miniatures game. That. Why has nobody picked up that license? Mobile Armored Suit Command. Legend, Chris. Legend, that's exactly what it was. Mark says, Fury of Dracula is now in its 4th edition. Moved to WizKid. I got a press release about that, I think, back in the last year to see it was coming out. Or it came out. Am I right in thinking that used to be a Games Workshop game? I've got that in my head from somewhere. Robert says, I remember a show called Zoids. Oh, Zoids as well. Was Zelda. Zelda was the kind of the evil kind of witch-looking thing, wasn't she? And for those outside of the UK, you might have a different voices, to be fair, but in the UK version, there's a guy called Windsor Davies who was in of Hot Mum, and he did the voice of one of the little balls that used to bounce around. I had a Zoids game when I was a kid. It's all coming back now, the memories. Glenn says, He-Man, the miniatures game, the most powerful miniatures in the universe. Oh, Christian says, Visionaries or Dino Riders. This is it now. We're right into 80s TV, aren't we? I'm amongst my age group now. I can feel that. Michael saying there was almost a finished version of a Transformer skirmisher with some good minis. Problem was that Hasbro didn't approve and took all the games info. They've obviously approved the card game, so it'll be interesting to see whether that's because it's not as popular now as it used to be. Whether that license could be something that someone could pick up. Chris is saying Saved by the Bell game. Use the Walking Dead rules. As Zach, you have to avoid making noise to allure Mr. Belling towards you. Stay out of his kill zone to avoid detention. Jackson, 80s cartoon has the best theme tunes. Jason the Wheeled Warriors had the best theme. And Mark says, that's right, it was. GW, then Fantasy Flight gets around that game. I thought I'd read that somewhere. Skullmunch is saying, Biker Mice from Mars board game. Flying Mammal says, Wacky Races. There is a Wacky Races board game coming. I've seen it played. And I've got no idea why it's kind of disappeared from sight. But it's definitely a thing. If you go to YouTube and look for Wacky Races board game, you'll see it. It's a game with the cars, with the characters, about trying to kind of get ahead of each other. It's definitely a thing. So you're on the right track with that one. That one is definitely a thing. So we're 40 minutes in. I've hardly talked about it because I'm kind of rambling on here. How we're doing. We've got a nice little crowd in. I think we've got something like, we've got 34 people in. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad. What else we got here? Tiberius is in Hasbro is also Wizards of the Coast, so Transformers card game. That's exactly why they've got the card game. Inspector Gadget, Flying Mammal saying, excellent. I ain't singing the tune. The Inspector Gadget film was awful, but the cartoons were awesome. Samurai Pizza Cats. Like Brave Star. I think I was just going to say that the mini in Wild West Exodus. I think Wild West Exodus is almost Brave Star now. I think. And see, Carson is saying, Chris is saying DC did a great post-apocalyptic comic of the wacky races. I think you could use something like Gaslands to recreate that. I think the game was all. I mean, you weren't kind of steaming around, but you were kind of trying to nip in front of each other and stuff. Jack saying that he saw a company at Salute make some fantastic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle minis. There's been a board game of that as well, I think, last year before. And Fly Mama saying, OMG, how have I not seen this? Yeah, definitely look for it. I haven't imagined this. It's definitely a thing. So, yes, licensed board games. Licensed games, I should say. I definitely agree. I think that they are... It's interesting, and I don't know whether this is a Kickstarter thing that's made this happen, but... the licenses are obviously now, or maybe board gaming has grown to a point now where it's worth investing in the license for a game like that. Because in the past, and I'm sure some things, like for example, the Walking Dead comic book will have had a very different license fee attached to it than the Walking Dead TV show. And I think for something like... I think the Hellboy one, if I remember right, I remember Ronnie saying they were in the bidding to get the Hellboy license, and they'd almost signed the deal when the new movie was announced, and then all of a sudden there was a bit of a mad rush of other people interested in the license as well. And I also know that the guys at Steamforge, so Matt Hart, who's one of the two kind of founding owners or founding creators of the games, between Matt and Rich. Matt used to work, I think, and if I've got this wrong, I apologise, but I'm sure I've read this. Matt used to work for Capcom, or certainly had some kind of relationship with them. So getting the Dark Souls game and getting Resident Evil 2 made sense. He kind of had some contacts in there to be able to make that happen. But I think that certainly there's obviously enough money in the games now that getting to pay for these licenses makes it worthwhile. I think that it is certainly opening it up. You get, if you look online now, I mean, I was watching something the other day when I was doing a bit of research for Resident Evil 2, and I forget which channel it was now, but it was a computer games channel. It was a channel that is a big channel devoted to kind of digital gaming. Somebody from the show had gone to play the Resident Evil board game when it was in development, and was raving about it on this channel. So it's definitely starting to bridge the gap. Dark Souls, love the game or hate the game, whatever you think of it, did really well and definitely bridged that gap between computer gamers and board gamers as well. And certainly, I mean, like one of my two twins isn't really into board games and stuff, but he definitely collects the collectible stuff from computer games that he plays. So he's got like kind of Halo figures like and stuff on his shelves in his bedroom. So there is definitely that collectible element of that board game looks awesome. Look at all those amazing Dark Souls miniatures in it. Or that Resident Evil board game looks amazing. Look at I can have Leon Kennedy. I can have Claire Redfield as a little miniature. Or I might paint those. And all of a sudden it's kind of like you're entering into a different world. But some of the games that are coming out. So I mean we've had Highlander games come out. There's been the Mockingjay from those ones are just a couple that's come from Dark Horse. I was going to say from River Horse. You can see Dark Crystal there behind me. They've had fantastic success with the Labyrinth license. Then you get onto Mantic, and we've got Haze Negan and The Walking Dead. We've got Hellboy coming next year. They've had Mars Attacks. Those licenses seem to have worked really well from them. We've talked about Steamforge with Resident Evil and Dark Souls. You've got Modiphius with Fallout. There's so many companies now, and we've got there's a not Gears of War, sorry, there is a Gears of War game, I should say, that's up on the shelf there. But we've got what's it called, Metal Gear Solid. There's a Metal Gear Solid board game coming next year, or this year I should say, coming this year to Kickstarter. It's big business now, and there's more and more companies getting in on it. But I think some of it is fueled by the fact that it's less of a risk to go to Kickstarter and to get it funded and get that money up front, rather than taking a risk to create the game, pay for the license, get everything done, and then hope it sells. So Kickstarter, as an example, is kind of driving a little bit of hype and a bit of marketing around these things. The flip side of it is that some companies will get hooked on licenses, and original IPs will probably go kind of by the wayside. So, for example, if you were going to bring out a sci-fi game to go up against Warhammer 40,000, are you better off bringing out something that no one's ever heard of, or are you better off buying a Star Wars license and trying to sell it like that? And unfortunately, I think that will be the downside. That will be the kind of the pain. You'll get games that come to Kickstarter that nobody knows anything about, never heard of the kind of the background, don't really want to take a chance on it, and then you'll get people who like this, like the Street Fighter game that came on, beautiful miniatures. The game's almost secondary. People buy that just for the quality of those kind of those big miniatures. So I am a little bit worried that I think going forward, I don't want it to kind of kill creativity. Some of the best games I've played are not tied to a big license. Pandemic isn't tied to a big license. It's become a huge game. I played Carcassonne over Christmas. It's become like a bit of a kind of a modern day classic, but there's no kind of license attached to it. That's not what drives it. So I just hope that in the future we don't lose these kind of games, and that games publishers don't just kind of bury their heads and only look for the big hitters. Division 1 champs, how about Call of Duty Zombies, where you get expansions for the different DLC maps? Make it just like the game where you have to survive as many levels as you can. I think a Call of Duty game would be amazing, but I've got a feeling that the license must be so expensive. That must be the reason it's prohibitive, because I can't believe people are buying into things like Assassin's Creed and what was the other one I just saw today? Metal Gear Solid, if you like, as well. And that things like Call of Duty have kind of gone missed. We've got Tony as well. Evening, Tony. Says, not long ago I got the Kickstarter for Noggin the Nog. Looks really good. Bloody hell, mate. Noggin the Nog. Michael says that they should make something with the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. That's a good idea. I love the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. I've mentioned before I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but my experience of it is the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon on a Saturday morning. I used to love that. Chris says, anyone played the XCOM game? Highly recommend it. It's just as brutal as the game. I've never played either. I've never played the computer game or the board game, mate. Rui, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly there, Rui, so apologies if I'm not. It says, Delta Green is a Lovecraftian print and play RPG. Imagine X-Files, True Detective, Season 1, and Call of Cthulhu. Sounds amazing. I'm going to have to check that out, actually. Because I like the idea of that kind of like True Detective, X-Files, kind of sort of almost cop show with a bit of a dark undertone. I'm busy watching, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but I'm busy watching Mr. Mercedes at the moment, which is based on Stephen King novels. Me and my wife just watched the first series, which was a very much kind of a straight detective kind of, there's a killer, there's a detective copper kind of looking for them. Really was quite straight. The second season's become a little bit kind of weird and a little bit X-Files-y, kind of, for want of a better word, really. But I'm only about 4 episodes into the second series, so don't spoil it for me. But yeah, I just wonder if anybody else had seen that one. Chris is saying he loves Mars Attacks. Yeah, to be honest, Chris, I think there's only you who plays it now. You're the only person I ever hear talking about it. And Chris says, I think Mantic were clever with Dead Zone, just as Necromunda had went unsupported and out of print. Dead Zone dropped and got some attention from Necromunda players. It was Dead Zone that put them on my radar. I think the same thing happened with Dread Ball as well, mate. It was at a time when Blood Bowl wasn't getting any love from Games Workshop as well. And I think they did really well with that. They kind of tapped into a market that was out there. Adam is saying Red Dawn, the Patrick Swayze version. Yeah, there was an updated version, wasn't there, a few years ago now? I'm trying to think who was in that one, but it certainly wasn't as good. Jack is saying, I can see a Fortnite minis game being made in the future. Also, talking IPs, what about Monopoly using IPs? Just done Warhammer 40k, and they've done everything from Walking Dead to Game of Thrones. Yeah, they must. It's a bit like Lego with all of the IPs that they kind of keep coming on now. I'm sure they just make them that They can't be designed to be played. They must purely just be for kind of collectors. I think I've seen a Fortnite Monopoly, if I'm honest. I'm pretty sure I saw that over Christmas. Yeah, it's those kind of things do surprise me. I mean, there's obviously a market for it. Maybe there's so little kind of development goes into that now. But even I guess it's kind of working the other way around now. So you've got Games Workshop now have recently employed like an IP manager who is now looking to license out the Warhammer stuff. So you should start seeing more kind of clothing lines, more sort of card games. You'll start to see, you may even start to see lunchboxes and that kind of stuff as well. Who knows? Matt said, I bought a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon box set. Watched the last episode first, as I never knew if they got home or not. Oh no! I was just about to say don't spoil it, but I've just seen Jack's just said they never made it. Stupid roller coaster. Oh dear. He says, Matt says, have you heard a story about D&D how it was supposed to end? I can't believe they didn't get home now. I'm not going to sleep now because of that. Thanks, Jack. Really upset about it. So then, folks, how we're doing for time? How we're doing? Time's ticking along quite nice. 10 to 10. Plenty of time left. Kieran says, surely that brew is cold by now. It's still kind of warm. Because it was absolutely boiling when I first brought it up, but it's lemon and ginger and honey, so it's still quite nice when it's a bit cooler. I've got my glass of Coke for when I give up with a cup of tea anyway. Matt's saying he's a little pissed that the last episode was one I'd seen a dozen times. Maybe that was the whole point. They did it like that so that they could, when they put them on reruns, they could just put them at any point they wanted through the whole thing. No, I didn't make it spoiling it. That's not the end. I don't know where I'm ever going to get to watch it again. Maybe I'll have to buy the box set now as well. So, folks, I thought I'd just take kind of 5 minutes or whatever. What's your thoughts so far on the new schedule? And I've had a very brief chat with people on Facebook and stuff, but how's it been for you? I mean, I'm a week in now. I've had my 5 videos last week. I'm managing relatively well. I'm not having any problems with getting it done. It's actually helping me. The pressure of having to do more videos in the same amount of time means I'm not kind of messing about trying to re-edit things and perfect things and sort of tweak things too much or overthink what the subjects would be. It's just kind of get it done, move on, get the next one done. But I've been relatively happy with the quality so far as well. A couple of the early ones, I'd used the wrong microphone when I recorded them and it wasn't until afterwards. Ordinarily, I'd have binned them off and re-recorded them again, but given the new schedule now, it's just a case of get them up there, crack on, do the best I can. It's more important to get the content out. So I'll be really interested for a bit of feedback, how you see it. What have you not enjoyed so much so far? I know it's only been 5 videos, but is there anything you haven't enjoyed so much? The painting one seems to have got quite a bit of attention. I'm definitely kind of aiming at tabletop level, quick tips. I'm certainly not of the standard of seeing Matt, for example, with his painting tutorials. Mine definitely are about kind of shortcuts and little tips on trying to get them up there fast. Adam says, I like the schedule so far. As long as the quality of the videos doesn't suffer, you'll do great. Have you seen a difference in quality? The ones I've done in this last week, have they been any better or any worse than the ones I've done previously? I'm hoping that they've kind of been all right. The one from Tuesday last week was a bit of a short notice one because I ballsed up the schedule, and the one I wanted to put up on Tuesday, which was New Year's Day, I ended up setting for the wrong day. But yeah, it's going all right away. Other than that, it's pretty smooth. Like I say, all of this week's videos are all done. They're all live. They're scheduled. So tomorrow you'll be able to see a Resident Evil 2 review. Then on Wednesday, for the miniatures Wednesday, I've got an updated version of my Kill Team versus Necromunda video because there's loads more information now. So originally when I did the video, Necromunda had a rule book you could only buy in the box set and then 4 Gang Wars books. And Kill Team only had that original box set with the rule book. Things have changed quite dramatically now, so I've kind of had an update and a revisit of that. So you've got that one coming on Wednesday. On Thursday, for my kind of sit and chat one, I'm going to be saying why I don't think Salute is worth it. Going to Salute, why I don't think going to Salute is worth it anymore. I won't say any more than that. I'll touch on that one. And then on Friday, for the hobby sort of tutorial stuff, I've got a video on how I do my snow bases. And I think I do them on these, which are my, you definitely can't see from there, but these are my models for Infinity. And I was painting these up anyway because there'll be a battle report for Infinity coming up in future weeks. So I took the time to use the base as a hobby tutorial. So, let's have a look. Robert says, the child's taken away nicely. Answered the question about the airbrush, so I'm getting one. Thank you. Looking forward to your Space Wolves painted and on the table. Yeah, me and you both, mate. By giving myself I'm giving myself 2 weeks between Space Wolves videos to give me a chance to actually make some progress with them. And 2 weeks is long enough to give me time, but not too long that I kind of forget about them. So that's the plan with those. Tiberius is saying it works for him. He gets that they're not all going to be for him. Yeah, I think when I wasn't doing as many videos, there's a chance that it could be quite some time before another video came round that would be more somebody's cup of tea, if you like. Whereby by having a scheduled night, so Mondays are always live streams, Tuesdays are board games, Wednesdays are miniatures games, Thursdays are a bit of a kind of a discussion about hobby chat, just chat, and then Fridays are hobby stuff. Hopefully every week there's something for everybody. Mark said he likes the schedule, it works. Peter says, your schedule only fooled me as much as yourself. I missed on that, mate. I don't know what that means. We've got Ian in as well. He says, sorry he's late to the show. Been watching the footy and FA Cup draw. What have I missed? Well, mate, I'll let you go. You can go back and watch all of this at another point in time. What have I missed? Is there any big names in the FA Cup draw? Chris is saying, good schedule so far. I don't think there's been a dip in quality. Good to see another bald beard combo brother on YouTube. You're welcome, buddy. Tiberius is saying, the painting one's useful for the channel. Proper ran through paint job to good quality. You're up against Warhammer TV with those, but not trying to flog stuff. You can win. Yeah, I mean the Warhammer ones are always going to be good. The thing for my videos is they're not always going to be Warhammer they're not always going to be Warhammer models. So there'll be whatever I'm painting at a time. So I'll do for example, the one I've just done for Friday's video is about snow bases, how to do snow bases. However, I've done it on an Infinity model. Rui is saying he likes the schedule. The quality is great. Thank you very much. Christian is saying he likes the new schedule. Bit of something for everyone. Video and sound good as well. Yeah, what I would say is that the sound in this room is a little bit kind of hollow. I'm in a kind of one of the spare bedrooms. It's plasterboard walls. There's no curtain up kind of thing. I've just got blinds. There's quite a lot of kind of reverb off the walls and stuff. So I am going to have to look at some kind of acoustic treatment or something. When I was in the garage, there was a lot of curtains and stuff hanging to make the little studio bit, and it really did deaden the sound down. It was a much better sound. So I'm hoping to improve the sound over time in here. But it's good enough at the minute that I don't think it's kind of holding me back. It's not worth stopping, if you like. Kieran saying, schedule's cool, chap. Great to have selection and variety. Jack says, yeah, you're doing well with the schedule. It's a lot of work, but good luck to you with it. To be honest, I mean, yes, it's a lot of work because I'm doing more videos. I'm kind of getting up early. I'm staying up later. I'm putting a lot of time in on weekends as well. And I've got a very understanding wife who's kind of said, look, if you want to go for it, kind of go for it. We'll work round it kind of stuff. So she's been amazing about giving me an extra time at the weekends and things while she looks after the little one or whatever. But it's not as much work as I would have thought, really. This is why I've kept it to 5 videos. So the Monday one is a live stream. I don't really have to kind of sort of edit anything. It goes out live. The Friday one, the hobby one, is around stuff I'm painting anyway. So the only kind of thing that I'm doing extra is I'm having to edit those ones down. The sit and chat ones, to be honest, they don't take me too long to film. There's a bit less editing in them. And I think I didn't do as many of those in the past because I used to get kind of hung up on what the topic should be, where now I just got to kind of bang, bang, bang. some videos won't get as many views. Some videos will get more. I'll hit on the odd topic that's kind of more relevant. But I think what I want to do this year is just kind of prove consistency and just sort of keep the content coming, because I think last year, certainly towards the back end of the year, my schedule was all over the place. YouTube doesn't like that. It doesn't push your videos out if you only upload once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever it is, or if you only live stream on a Monday. So I'm going to give it a real go this year anyway. Jack's saying, interesting topic about Salute. Yeah, I won't spoil it, let's put it that way. Mark says, is there still tickets for the weekend? I think I've convinced the wife, but need to find accommodation. There are still tickets left at the moment. There's a, what is it? I think it's a Premier Inn right over the road. So if you were to make it to the Premier Inn, it's literally a 3-minute walk across the road. There's another hotel just down the road as well, which is called the Alma Lodge. You might also want to check that out. I'll put some links in the Facebook group. But they're relatively well priced. They're not too expensive, those hotels. And Matt says, schedule is great. You've inspired me to sort my channel out and start getting some content up again. Love the painting video you done. The rest of the week was good. Ear candy while I painted. I'm glad to hear it, mate. I'm glad that seems to be going okay. I mean, what I'll do is after probably a couple of months, when I've got a couple of months of stuff up there, we'll maybe come back and revisit it, see which things seem to be working, which ones don't. If, for example, my painting videos get the most views every week, and the kind of sit and chat one gets like 100 views a week, I might decide to kind of mix them up a little bit and do something different. But I'm happy with where things are at the minute. Michael says he's off to bed. His headache is attacking him too hard to stay up. See ya. Thanks for coming in, Michael. Really hope you're feeling better soon, buddy. Appreciate you popping in even when you're not too well. We've got Jens has just popped in as well. Says, hello, guys. Good evening, Jens. I hope you're very well, buddy. Mark's in here. Sorted this weekend. No worries, man. If you get stuck with hotels, give me a shout and I'll be able to give you some idea of what's there and about. Christian saying he hopes you feel better. Michael says, PS, stay at the Premier Inn. Those beds, man. Yeah, I always stay at the Premier Inn, mate. It's really handy. The price is not too bad. Because it's in Stockport as well, it's not like in Manchester city centre. The prices are never like kind of... they're never the prices of the Birmingham NEC hotels, that's for sure. Yeah, everyone's saying that. Hope you're feeling better soon, buddy. So what games did I did get some games for Christmas. Let me just show you what I got. So my wife actually bought me, or I should say my 2-year-old son bought me as a gift, got Uno, because we were out shopping and something my wife had said about Uno, and I said I've never actually played it. I've got no idea what Uno, like, I'm aware of it, I know it's a thing, but I've never played it, so I've got no idea what it is. So I got Uno for Christmas. I know Flying Mammal was just saying she'd been playing this over Christmas as well. So, oh, sorry, I was just reading something there. I'll come back one second, Sean, about the tickets. Yeah, so I'd never played it, so I'll be playing that one. Just seen Phil saying he's going to be buying his tickets Friday. Nice one, buddy. Skullmunch is saying, are you given any kind of confirmation on the weekender tickets? He's bought using two using PayPal, but have no confirmation. Let me double check, because I'm Jay from Top Table Gaming is handling all of the ticket information, and I think he's got a list on the Tabletop Weekender Facebook group, which is a list of everybody that's paid and confirmed tickets. I'm pretty sure they're on there, so we'll check out afterwards. But I do remember you saying you'd bought 2 tickets, and I'm sure I've seen your name on a list. So I'll check with Jay just to make sure that he's to see if he's sending out email confirmations or anything like that. But thanks for that, mate. What else did I get? I actually got... Oh, I got Carcassonne as well. I won't get it. It's right in the bottom shelf. I got Carcassonne, so we've played quite a few games of that. Actually, I am going to get it, because I'll tell you why. So, Carcassonne, for those that haven't seen it, just get the camera so the lights on it. It's kind of like a modern day classic. I'm going to do a review on it, actually, because it's kind of one of those games. And I'll tell you why I'm going to do a review on it. I always thought this never appealed to me. This kind of Eurogame artwork doesn't appeal to me personally. It's a bit naff, if I'm honest. It's not my personal taste, and it's always put me off games like this. I couldn't see beyond the name and the design. The theme didn't grab me. However, it can't be all bad. It's kind of a modern day classic. So my wife got me it for Christmas as a surprise, actually. And I really, really love the game. It's one of the best kind of very quick. It plays in about half an hour. Really, really simple rules to learn. You learn the rules in the first kind of two tiles that you place. But when I do the review, I'm doing a review because it's the kind of game I would never have picked up myself, I think. So I got that, and then I also got from work. I got a Christmas gift of a voucher, and I don't know if you've heard of Love to Shop vouchers, but they're essentially a voucher that you can use in multiple different shops. And one of the shops you can use them in is Waterstones. So I bought myself Arkham Horror, the card game. Arkham Horror, the card game. I bought this with part of my voucher. I've still got some money left, actually. But Waterstones sell a hell of a lot of board games these days, actually. And their prices are they're high street prices, but because I had a voucher, I picked this one up. But I haven't played it yet. I have had a look through it and stuff like that. Had a quick read of the rules. But I'm looking forward to giving that a go as well. So at some point, I'll probably give that a bit of a review as well. Mark is saying his son got Uno for Christmas. It was great fun. Yen said he played Uno when he was younger, and now also with his 4-year-old daughter. Yeah, that's, everyone tells me how good it is, so worth a game. Matt says, I thought the Weekender was the same weekend as Franticon. Yeah, it is, mate. Unfortunately, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, it was the only weekend that was available for us. We couldn't. There was no other weekends at Element Games that we could have, so it happened to be the same weekend, and I purposefully haven't set up any events that are running at Franticon. So there's no Kings of War, there's no Dread Bowl, there's no Dead Zone, because if you want to play those games, I'd rather you went to Franticon and supported those guys. We're going to do some Walking Dead, we're going to do some Kings of War Vanguard, we're going to do, I think there's Wild West Exodus, there's Middle-earth strategy battle game, there's going to be some Kill Team, there's going to be Drowned Earth, there's going to be painting sort of demos, and it's kind of like where you can sit and get some tips and stuff. We've got Luke from Luke's APS is coming down. He's going to hang out for the weekend, and he's going to do some some chat here. You'll be able to chat to him as well about terrain building and things. We're going to do a live stream on the Friday night with some Q&A. So anyone that's in the audience at the place can ask the questions, and we'll do a live stream. Saturday night, we're going to have an awesome quiz night. Try and get everybody together, have a little bit of fun, do a quiz night. And then there's open gaming right the way through the whole weekend as well. So feel free to bring your own stuff. There'll be a board game library where you can get some stuff from Element. Arrange things in advance and meet up with a few people and play some games. I'm trying to organise it so I'm not running any events for the weekend. It means I get to spend the whole weekend with the people that have attended and get around and play games with as many people as I can. So that's the plan for that weekend anyway. Chris is saying his nephew got Og on the Bog. Really fun game where you're collecting toilet rolls. Ian says Carcassonne is epic. And Yen says Arkham LCG awesome. Yes, awesome. I've heard it's awesome. I've also heard that if you want to play 4 players, you've got to buy, because I think it does play up to 4 players. It says 1 to 2 on here, though, to be fair. I think you can play 4 players, but you need to buy 2 core sets, which is what I've heard, to get enough cards, which is very Fantasy Flight. Skullmunch said he loves Arkham Horror. I've never played it yet. I've just heard nothing but good things, and I've never really tried any of the kind of Cthulhu stuff. So this is my first dip into it. Yen says until now he's bought everything from it. Also printed many stuff like player boards and card holders. I need to get looking into it as well. Robert says he likes Arkham Horror. Good luck. It's tough to win. I've heard that as well. And Mark says Keyforge. Yes, Keyforge. I played it over Christmas. Really, really, really enjoyed playing that with Jason. All my tokens falling about in there now. Had a game over Christmas with Jason. Played with the kids as well over Christmas. Keyforge is one of those games that I feel like I can just drop into and drop out of whenever I feel like it. It's not like Destiny where I felt I had to chase the meta. It's not like Magic the Gathering where the barrier to entry is so high I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Keyforge is the game for me when it comes to card games. I really, really enjoy it. And both Jens and Skullmunch are there saying, yeah, you need another box to play 3 or 4 player. As it happens, I'll probably play solo quite a bit. And my wife said that she's getting more interested. My wife is actually going to help me out with some of these extra videos as well. So when I'm doing some gameplay stuff, certainly with board game stuff, she's going to help me out and actually be on camera as well. So at some point, you'll get to see the Birdist couple playing together. Matt says, you put a post up yesterday saying the weekend is on the 19th to the 22nd. Did I say the wrong weekend? Did I say the wrong weekend? Let me double check, mate. I was sure I'd said the right weekend. You're right, mate. It's the 22nd to the 24th. It's the 22nd. Let me change the date to that. Oh, I can't believe I've done that now. Let me change the date. I wouldn't care as well. Jay's liked the post and he didn't tell me it was wrong. It is the same weekend as FranticCon. It's the 22nd. I don't know where I'm getting the 19th. The 19th isn't even a weekend. How the hell have I done that? I've looked at the wrong month. Right, I'll update that after this. Please. Thank you for telling me. I could have caused some real problems with that one, couldn't I? No, it's definitely the 22nd to the 24th. Yen says he owns Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror 3rd edition, Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. Love the Lovecraft Cthulhu stuff. Yeah, like I say, I should really try and read some of those kind of Lovecraft novels, really, and try and get my head into it, because the idea of it really appeals to me, but I've never been it. I suppose it's not for not wanting to. Just never really had the opportunity, I'll be honest. I mean, some of Malifaux's kind of theme is very Lovecraftian, I would think, from what I know about Lovecraft. Excuse me. Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. First thing I'll do when this live stream ends, I will update those messages. I can't believe I did that. So next week's videos are all done. The week afters are all planned out as well. So what I've done is I've planned I'm about a month and a half in advance now with my plans, so I know exactly what videos are coming and what videos I've got to film. So yeah, feels pretty good to be organised. I feel like it's in a good place. I've got my target this year about where I want to get to by the end of the year. I'm not giving myself a subscriber number because I can't control the number of subscribers I get. People will choose to subscribe or not subscribe. I physically can't make somebody subscribe. What I can physically do is make sure I get enough content out there. So my targets are around content, and then if the videos are good enough, people will watch and people will subscribe. Rui saying the Arkham LCG deck building is so complex. It's not a game for me. Yeah, I'm not. I think the deck building side of it is quite complex. It's got a couple of or it's got 4 sort of pre-built decks, if you like, inside the box. Excuse me, that you can choose to play. You can then do the deck building later if you want. I'm almost treating it as a standalone box at this stage. Excuse me. Tony says, speaking of solo games, just started playing Mage Knight. Wow, what a great game. I don't think I've heard of Mage Knight, if I'm honest. I thought it was the one that Michael had been talking about, but no, it's not. I don't know that one. What's the theme of it, mate? What do you have to do? Skullmunch says, anybody played a board game called Gugong? Looks really cool and ordered it. Turning up tomorrow. Looking forward to playing it. No, never heard of it and never played it, mate, but hope it's a good one. Well, I tell you what I did play at the weekend. I played a game called Blockers. I don't know if anybody's played that. It's like a little kind of, you get a big sort of grid and you get little almost Tetris-shaped tiles, and you have to basically place your tiles and your opponent places their tiles, and you've got to try and basically get rid of all of your tiles. But the only way you can place them is when 2 squares kind of are corner to corner. You can't have 2 sides touching. You play with the one I played. You play 4 players, so you've got like 4 people all coming in from the corners, all trying to kind of claim territory. That was quite a fun game. And I also played Rush Hour as well, which you might have played it as like an iPhone app or something like that, like a mobile app, where you have all the cars kind of like locked in a grid, and you have to kind of like slide them around to try and get one car off the track. There's a little kind of board game version of it, a little kind of with little plastic cars, and that was really cool as well. Kind of, we were taking turns timing each other to do the levels to kind of see who was the fastest. That was really fun. Jens is saying hopefully we can see course-based videos in the next months. Hope they ship it fast. Yeah, I think Christian's backed course-based, and I saw that they've got a sale on at the minute as well, haven't they? But yeah, it'd be nice to see some playthroughs of that. Again, I remember seeing the Beasts of War video when it was first on Kickstarter, and it did look pretty good. I was really close to backing it. Skullmunch is saying Mage Knight is my favourite board game of all time. The mammal made me a birthday cake based on it. Wowzers. It must be a decent game then. Kieran says, hearing about Mage Knight recently with the Ultimate Edition being released. Always intrigued by it, but it's quite heavy. I wonder if Mage Knight's the one... for him. No, it's not the one I'm thinking of. Jens saying, I have Mage Knight, but never played it. Christian saying, Course Base is supposed to start shipping in February. Hopefully we'll have it by the end of Feb or mid-March at the latest. Chris saying he wanted to play Codenames again, but ages since I played that. Me and my mate had a bunch of in-jokes that helped us get answers. Codenames, the only time I've ever seen it played was on one of the Will Wheaton tabletop videos. And it looked quite fun, but it felt like it wasn't a game that you could... I know there's a duet version where you could play two-player, but it didn't feel... It felt like a game that you needed a number of people to play it. Jens has just ordered Core Space, and Chris is saying Zaya too. Rob has Zaya, and I love it. Space travel, piracy, shipping, it's got it all. Yeah, I must admit, I'm definitely getting into my board games now because my wife's starting to play more board games now. And the fact that she's kind of like searching them out and buying them as well makes it all the better for me. So board games are definitely something I'm becoming more and more interested in. I do have been delivered to me this week. I don't know whether anybody's played it, but the Marvel Legendary card game. Is anybody aware of this? It's basically you can play it solo. Can you play two? I think you can play two players as well, but you can play solo. Let me see if I can find it so I can tell you exactly what I'm talking about. I'll do it here. Just talk amongst yourselves, folks. I'll just put a search in. Legendary Marvel. Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see if we've got it. So this is the one that is coming, if I can find it. So the one that let's have a look. Marvel Universe. That's the one. So let me move this across to the other screen so you guys can see it as well. And then I'll move this across. So this game here is, there we go, Legendary Marvel Studios Phase 1. So it's made by Upper Deck, which are obviously the card people. They do, I think they used to do like kind of FIFA type cards and things like that as well. But it's basically some kind of what does it say, a Marvel deck building game. So yeah, you get quite a lot of cards in this one. It's been around for a while. There's loads of expansions, but this version is based upon the Marvel Studios one. So all of the artwork is from the Marvel movies, and Asmodee, who are the company that basically own Fantasy Flight and all that kind of stuff, they've been in touch, and this is kind of a bit of a first off. They sent me one thing out just to kind of review and have a look at, and depending upon that, how that goes depends on how we work together going forward. So that could be awesome for the channel from a board game perspective to get a lot more kind of board game stuff sent out for review, and we'll potentially unlock some games that I wouldn't necessarily have picked up or maybe wouldn't have been aware of. So that could be really cool for the channel as well. Let me get my mouse back across from my screens. That many screens dotted about now, trying to find out which one's which. Let's have a look. Where are we? Christian is saying he's seen some of the final miniatures in a photo update. suppose this one from Core Space. Tony saying Mage Knight's a fantasy-themed exploration and combat game that uses hand management and a few other mechanics. It's quite tough and puzzly, but it all fits together well. Quite like puzzle-type games, though, to be fair. I'll have to check it out, mate. Mark says he's seen the Buffy version of Legendary. Yeah, I think there is a few different kind of themes around it. Jackson, he saw a game called Black Orchestra, which is about hunting for Hitler all over social media. No, I've not played that, mate. I've not even heard of it. Tony said the X-Files Legendary and an Aliens one. They're brilliant. I've read that they're okay, actually. I mean, they're not... I think it was about 50 quid, something like that. But yeah, apparently it should be with me this week. I'll get a look at it, and I'll obviously play through it, and then we'll get it up on a Tuesday night board game night as well, and I'll do a full review of it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what you think of it as well. And obviously, if it's a first review, if you like, from something from Asmodee, it'll be good for you to get some feedback on it as well, and let me know what you think. Let's have a look. Black Orchestra is pretty good. Another one that seems tough to beat. Mark is saying Hogwarts battles very similar mechanics. Is that to Legendary? Is that right? Yeah. Skullmunch saying loves deck builders. Heard this is a good one. And Legendary Alien must be also great. Yeah, I assume so, mate. Chris is saying to Jack, a John Wick game would be awesome. How about a heist game like Payday computer game series? John Wick was a character in that too. Was he really? I didn't realise that. Yeah, you could almost... It's almost like Grand Theft Auto, couldn't it? That kind of... Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, isn't it, with a heist? And the movie Heat as well. That would be a cool game to have. Tony's saying that Jack, the aim is to assassinate Hitler. We've just seen Bloggy just dip in at the end as well. How you doing, Nick? I hope you're really well, mate. Really nice of you to pop in. I know you're kind of having a bit of a hobby break at the minute, but I really do appreciate you popping in. I hope you're well, mate. And don't forget, even if you're not around the hobby so much these days, make sure you keep in touch. Drop me a message. Make sure so I know how you're getting on, buddy. And Flying Mammal saying hello as well. So we're coming up now, 25 past or something. We've got another 5 minutes or so. So, folks, next week's topic, because I've got all of this stuff planned out now, next week's topic is games, if I can try and read my writing, games to watch out for in 2019. So I'll put a little topic up in the Facebook group. You let me know if there's any games you're really looking forward to in 2019, and we'll include them in next week's video. So this can be board games, card games, it can be miniature games, but there's plenty to look forward to in 2019. I feel like it's going to be a good year for games. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. Games Workshop continue to push the amount of stuff they're putting out. Mantic just get better and better with the quality of their miniatures, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Hellboy. I'm also looking forward to see what's happening with The Walking Dead. Might have some more news on that coming soon. Can't say too much at the moment. But the skirmish version of Walking Dead, so that's to be coming this year as well. Yeah, plenty happening. Flying Marble saying Luigi's Mansion 3. Is that what you're looking forward to? And Tiberia says, get the monthly challenge subject sorted. I know, honestly, my head's been all over. Right, so the challenge for January, you can either do the normal challenge, which is paint a unit, paint a squad, whatever it is, the standard one. The other challenge, because it's January and is the month of new beginnings, and 2019 is the new year, new army, all that kind of stuff. The challenge for January is to paint a miniature from a game or from so it can be a board game, it can be a miniatures game. Paint a miniature from a game or from a faction or from like an army that you've never painted before. So for example, if you play a Warhammer 40,000 and you bought the Dark Imperium set when it came out, and you've painted all your Space Marines and you've just left all the Death Guard, paint a Death Guard model. If you've bought a board game with miniatures in and you've not painted them, you've never painted them before, paint one of those. So yes, something like that. That I'll try and kind of wordsmith it a little bit better, but that is this month's challenge. Paint something new, something different. Not another model from your same army is the challenge. Something you haven't painted before. So if you've bought into Shadespire, for example, and you've bought a new warband and you've not painted them yet, paint one of your Shadespire models. If you've bought Here's Negan and you've not painted your miniatures in there yet, paint Negan, paint one of the survivors, something like that. Chris is saying not hashtag dry brush January. You can dry brush the model if you want to dry brush the model. I don't care what you do, just try something new. What we got here? We're seeing the Resi 2 remake. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, mate. I went back and watched the trailer. So when I was doing a bit of research for the Resident Evil 2 review, because I wanted to find out a bit more about when the original game and stuff came out and when the new one was coming out. The trailer looks awesome. It really did hook me. Really did. And Jack says, so I have done the challenge for this month, and if you've painted it this month, mate, you've done the challenge. Don't worry about it. This is not about punishing people. I'm not trying to be hard. This is about encouraging people to paint. You're knocking the models out the park at the minute. 19 models this month already. Peter says, well, I pretty much only play 40k and painted something from every faction. Well, in that case, mate, if you want to take part in the painting challenge, you can do the other part of the challenge, which is basically just paint a squad, paint five models, a 5-man squad, paint a 10-man squad, whatever you want to do for your army. If you want to grow your army a little bit more, or you've still got some stuff to paint, just do that. So that's why there's always two parts to the monthly challenge. One is if you're invested in an army and you're just trying to kind of chew through it, the challenge is there to try and encourage you to keep going and get some more done. And if you're not really painting an army and you just fancy doing something a little bit different, then the other part of the challenge that you can do instead is paint something new. So paint something for a model for a game you've never painted anything, or an army you've never painted anything. So yeah, those are the two parts of the challenge. Mark's saying, shall I go Firefly or Dreadball? Decisions. Ooh. What will you do? I've not seen any painted Firefly models yet, mate. It'd be cool to see one of those. Yeah, Skullmunch is saying, watch out for the Resident 2 remake soon, demo soon. Yeah, I've heard that. It's a bit of a one-shot demo thing. I saw something when I was doing my research. Peter says, a squad of Space Wolves, okay. That's absolutely perfect, mate. Paint a 5-man squad, something like that. That'll do it. Or paint the captain. Anything like that. You can do whatever you want. It's not about trying to kind of sort of back you into a corner with your painting. It's about trying to encourage you to paint. So whatever fits, if you want to paint anything, we'll make it fit the challenge. Don't worry. Let's have a look. Paul, we got Paul in. Good evening, Paul. Sneaking at the end there, mate. So it sounds like a good challenge. Maybe enough to get me to dig out my Strontium dog box. Do it, mate. I want to see that. I want to see at least one of those Strontium dog models painted. It'd be awesome. Christian says, looks like I'll either be painting Death Guard or Primaris then. I wonder if there's a tutorial video I can follow. There you go, mate. And I'm also at some point, I think on my diary here, I think it's for the 1st of February, the painting model will be a Primaris model. I think I'm probably going to paint it in Blood Angels colours. So that will be the 1st of February. However, that's February's challenge, isn't it? That'll be something different, so you'll have missed it by then. So yeah, you better get a Death Guard one done. Everyone's saying always Firefly, definitely this. Peter saying I only ever done some of the old metal figs years ago. Steve saying some Dreadball stuff then, a bit of a break from Kings. Yeah, it's not, that's what I mean. Sometimes it's nice just to have a bit of a break. If you're doing a big army and you've got a load of stuff that you've not got round to yet, just have a little break, paint something a completely different colour. It just kind of re-energises yourself and just gets you kicked off again, gets you started. And Flying Mammal saying look out for Firefly. So folks, with that, we are bang on past. Tony's going to be painting his first ever 40k mini. Nice one, mate. Look forward to that. So we're bang on past. So yeah, next week's video will be the games to look out for in 2019. We've got a packed schedule this week with videos every night of the working week. Well, unless you work weekends, Monday to Friday. 5 videos this week, including this one. And I'll get that date changed on the BlackJack tabletop. BlackJack. Is that right? Top table legacy weekend. I forgot what I called it there. Yes. And Scott Munch says the first step is to Primaris the model. Nice one. So then, folks, thanks everyone for coming in tonight. Always appreciate you coming in for the live streams. What else is there to say? Have a lovely evening. Have a beautiful week. And I will see you all in next video. Thanks for watching.